Like I always ask people in my webinars, what's more important, time or money? So it's funny to hear what they always answer. But time is the one commodity that we continue to spend without ever knowing the balance. And time is our most valuable commodity. So whatever we can do to win back our time, that's what we should be doing.
Welcome to the Build It to Billions podcast, where we guide successful entrepreneurs and investors on their journey from millions to billions. And we believe that the key to scaling and compounding your wealth and life starts every single day with the mindset and practice of stewardship over ownership and applying billionaire biblical principles. Our ultimate goal is to help you scale and compound your wealth and life so you can give more or all of it away to help MVPs. Hey, I'm your host today, Brett Swartz, and every episode we feature some of the world's top entrepreneurs, millionaires, and billionaires, and they share their secrets and wisdom with us so we can level up our impact, faith, wealth, and life. I'm excited about our next guest. He's out of the Bay Area of California, where I'm originally from, and he has simple, effective, and proven trading strategies that lead to ongoing trading success. And he's a trade coach, and we're going to be talking about becoming the CEO of your trading business. And he is the founder of Backpack Trader, and his goal is to empower traders like you and me, or any other CEOs or entrepreneurs out there, and their own trading business. Please welcome to the show with me, Troy Noonan. Troy, how are we doing?
Hey, I'm doing fantastic, Brett. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. And for our listeners getting to know you for the first time, would you give us just a little bit more about your story and your current focus?
Yeah, so I'm just a regular guy. I had a business. It was kicking my butt. Going back over 30 years, I received a brochure in the mail that introduced me to this idea of trading. And it's kind of funny how that came about. It was before the internet. It was actually even before the euro. So it was a long time ago. And I learned that there are certain patterns that repeat over and over again because human nature doesn't really change. It's kind of reflected in the market. And if you can learn to identify what these patterns are, you can learn how to anticipate what's likely to happen next. And so like this, we can build a trade plan and take advantage of this idea that this pattern always occurs, and a large percentage of the time, this next thing happens, and that's what makes for a great trade. So back in those days, I learned what a head and shoulders pattern is. And, first thought that came up in my mind was what shampoo got to do with trading, right? But it was a pattern. It's a very powerful pattern. And I ended up shorting the British pound at the time. Didn't know that someone else was also shorting the British pound, a very famous trader. And the trade that he got in, it was a series of trades, infamously became known as the trade that broke the Bank of England. And I happened to be on that same trade unwittingly. So I took my several grand backpack through Europe and learned about a level of freedom that I had never achieved before in my life. And being a drummer, I picked up a set of bongos and was sitting in with street musicians all over Europe, and ended up meeting a Venezuelan musician on Ponte Vecchio in Florence, Italy. And we'd go into bars and play for free beer. And eventually I went to visit him in Caracas, Venezuela. And within 24 hours, I met the woman who I'm married to now. We have our 30-year anniversary coming up this year. Got 2 kids who are in their 20s. And I always tell the story, George Soros made billions. I made a wife and kids. I'll let you know who got the better end of that trade. I'll let you decide. But in the end, I don't tell this story to talk about me. The backpack trader was born at the time. I didn't realize it, but I really tell this story to emphasize how important it is to get trading right because of what it could do for you in your life. It changed my life, right? So that was
this is an incredible story. By the way, if you want to get connected with Troy, you can text CEO6 to 775-204-7717. That's CEO, the number 6, to 775-204-7717. Really fascinating and cool background. Awesome story. Let's dive right in, because this is going to be fun today. So, what is the number one secret, Troy, to becoming the CEO of your trading business?
Yeah, fantastic. So it took a long time to get to that point where I realized that in order to succeed at trading, you have to treat it like a business, not like a hobby, not like something that's fun, not like some random thing you can do to try to make some money. You know, you can go into the casino and put double sixes, put money on double sixes on the crap table, right? There's a way to treat trading that's as a gambler, or the casino, where you got the house odds on your side, which is why I started out telling you my story, focusing on a price pattern that we could identify that could repeat so often that we could determine what's likely to happen next. So my main flagship program that I'm most proud of is called the CEO Trader Mastermind, and it's designed to take a person trying to trade, what we all start out as. It's normal. We're people. We're trying to trade. That never works so, and there's a lot of reasons why. We can get into that if you'd like, but I want to transform people through this step-by-step process so that they end up becoming the CEO of their trading business in that point of view of running it like a business. And we don't need another job. So let me just emphasize, I'm not talking about another job. I'm talking about part-time effort for full-time results, so that we can spend a little bit of time and then go out and live our best life today and have freedom and ultimately replace your job. So trading less is actually part of the program, where you trade less to make more so that you can live better. That's part of the whole backpack trader symbol of freedom that you get.
This is great. Yeah, you're unlocking freedom for people to be able to trade in a way that replaces, hopefully their day job if they're not wanting to work that day job anymore, as well as to get more freedom and more impact with their wealth and margin. So it sounds like secret number one is to not think like a gambler, but think like the casino with having the odds on your side, right? Yeah. And then figuring out a way to do part-time effort and to make full-time kind of results, right? Yeah. So that's secret number one. What is secret number two to becoming the CEO trader of your business?
Well, it's the process to accomplish that, right? It's one thing to say you should do that, but then how do you actually make that happen? And see, the problem is that people trying to trade always make the wrong decisions as traders, because we're trading with an outcome that hasn't happened yet. And this is what people fail to understand, is that the future hasn't happened yet. And nobody has the magic formula to predict the future 100% of the time. So there's always going to be this random distribution of wins and losses, even with the very best trading method. A 90% winning trading method could still wipe you out, because it could still lose 10 trades in a row at some point. It's still a 90% winning method, but if you're not equipped to be able to handle the random distribution of wins and losses that occur with all trading, then you're probably going to lose, because human beings want to run away from anything that they perceive as a threat against their survival. Right? And what's more threatening than the insecurity of not knowing what's going to happen next, especially when your money's on the line? So that's the problem that people have in the markets in general. And so the secret to solving that is, it's quite simply, we create a trade plan, but it has to be created in a certain way, so that you could prove it's going to make you money before you risk your money. And like this, you could acquire the necessary belief in it. So then it doesn't matter whether a trade wins or loses. We shift our focus to, instead, like a CEO, running the trade plan that you've been able to prove, running it like a business. And there's a step-by-step process to do that, and it involves acquiring belief in it. And so we have to go through a certain series of steps. And so that's what my program does. And we use this concept called earning the rites of passage. Like, you have to earn the rites of passage to move from one step to the next. And there's a step down that trajectory where you actually get to start trading live money. But you got to work your way up to it first. I've been accused of protecting my clients' money better than they do, because I don't want them to lose it. I want them to take it. It's precious, right? It's the resource that traders need to grow it into something substantial. So we have to protect it. And our point of view is, if you can't prove a trade plan will make you money, don't trade yet. And then when you do prove it, don't take any trade that's not part of that plan. And the plan involves this concept. We call it the power of quitting. And it actually, for day traders, it empowers us to quit trading for the day. So we set up, we take a trade as part of the plan. We hit our goals in the very first trade quite often. The goals for the day have been reached. Maybe it took 7 minutes. I did a video on a trade I did live in a cafe in Florence just last summer, and the trade literally took less than 2 minutes. In fact, it hit the entry and hit all the targets faster than you could sneeze. And if you would have sneezed, you would have missed it. So later that day, I'm in the bar joking around with some people, and they asked me what I did for a living. And I said, I worked 2 minutes today. What do you do for a living? And it was true that day. But it was the trade plan. The trade plan is where the magic happens. But it just doesn't happen by itself. You have to create it properly. And that's what our program is about. It's helping.
Okay, people. I love it, Troy. Let's dive into this because like last couple of weeks have been some of the wildest, swings in the market that we've seen in a long time. So, talk about what happened these last couple of weeks in your assessment, right? And then how did your trade plan and your mindset, like how did it help you stay disciplined within the parameters, of what was going on?
Yeah, so there's a lot there to unpack. I think we know what happened. Tariffs were announced and the market freaked out because, markets hate uncertainty just as much as human beings hate uncertainty, right? Because markets are made up of human beings, let's face it. And so, when there's uncertainty, there's no way for people to know what to do. So this is interesting, though. I actually just did a video and released it on my YouTube channel walking through some of the trades of those few days. Our day trade plan that we do every day and have been doing for years literally was undefeated. It lost, I think, one trade that week, but all the sessions leading up through April 3rd, April 4th, and then even the following Monday and whatever, those trading sessions were all winning sessions with like one or two trades. It had nothing to do with the stock market, diving or it's the trade plan itself worked great. And it loves volatility anyway. Price action, you make money when the markets go down or up when you're trading, right? So, but for those that wanted to make money in the stock market, some of our major stock chart trade plans were giving sell signals days before. So you literally could have gotten short or taken some put option positions, and then when the sell-off happened, you would have been sitting really good. So it's just a matter of trusting the trade plan and realizing there's always going to be things that are happening in the world that we don't know about. Headline news pushes the markets up and down all the time, and no one knows the future. So how do you respond to that? In the end, you need a trade plan that has a few key components. One, it can dynamically tune itself to market conditions, bar after bar, day after day. So that some trades are going to be smaller at times, bigger at other times, but it's taking advantage of price action. The price action tells a story. Certain patterns will present themselves, or we know what the likely outcome is. I've developed strategies and indicators that literally identify what those patterns are, and then we'll print the trade right on the chart. So you can literally see the entry, the stop loss in case it's wrong, goes the other way. You get out with a small loss. That's okay. It happens. And then also the targets that tend to be pretty accurate. And so we use this philosophy, this overarching idea that the immediate past can predict the immediate future with a high degree of accuracy. And so the immediate past, what does that mean? Well, it's a price pattern that's happened so often that it just happened again. And this immediate past created that particular pattern because the market's made up of those two forces, right? Buyers and sellers. And then the third force is all those on the sidelines that are coming in or those going out, right? That's what makes up the market. But it's just people. And human nature is human nature. So these patterns that are made up of greed and fear, buyers, sellers, supply, demand, however you want to call it. I call it red bars, green bars. Keep it real simple. Pushes the price. The price is always trying to find its value. And here's the thing that people need to understand. It's so logical, but no one thinks about it. The price can't hide. It can't hide from us, can't hide from itself. It's always there. It always is what it is. And so when it creates a pattern that's happened so often, we're able to determine what's likely to happen next. And that's what we build trade plans around. And so when this market went crazy, we'd seen this before. We've seen this before. We had the COVID crash. We had all the crashes. I don't have to name them all off, but the flash crash, 2010, right? The mortgage crisis in 2008, all those things. A good strategy is going to tell you it's coming before it happens. Something about the collective wisdom of the market shows up in the price patterns. You just know what to look for.
Okay, this is incredible. By the way, Mr. Troy Noonan, everybody, 775-204-7717. If you text that number and you text CEO6, you'll get connected with Troy, get some of his material. And if you want to become the CEO trader of your world, of your business, your investments, he's going to help you with that. Okay, so this does feel like a lot, right? Not going to lie, but it feels really great and exciting and stuff. My first question is, what if someone says, Troy, maybe I just want to hire you, right? And, can I just hire the who, not be the how, right? And so, talk about just, what services you do provide, right? And which ones you don't. And then is there a hybrid of those who have been trained by you that do provide it if you don't? I'm just kind of curious on that piece of the world, because, it can feel like a lot for the, really, really busy entrepreneur or someone who's focused on real estate or Bitcoin or something else. And they're like, I do want what Troy's talking about, but I don't have the focus right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. We live in a busy world. Everyone's busy. I don't trade for other people. I don't manage people's money. It's just more than I want to do at this stage of my life. I don't want to work so hard. But I can't, but I'm really good at teaching people how to create it for themselves. Mm-hmm. And so in order to make it really simple for people to think about, I want you to think of two things. To become success, and this is just my opinion, but I believe I have a big context, a unique position to state this opinion. I didn't tell you, but I called a live trade room for 18 straight years. So people could have tuned into my trade room and they'd be trading my trade plans. I'm telling them what to trade, showing them. Did that for 18 years. I still have some of my members, customers, students of mine that are now calling 2 trade rooms with my strategies. So that's happening, and anyone can join those. But this is the big picture. If someone wants to do this, I'll say it in a couple ways so that everyone can really understand it. There's 2 tracks of learning when it comes to being successful as a trader, in my opinion. Now, trading is not investing, so let's make that distinction. Trading is getting in, getting out, taking your money, done, till the next time you place a trade. Day trading, you're in and out the same day, oftentimes within minutes. Swing trading is the other style of trading we teach, is when you're holding trades overnight. Could be days, weeks, even months, depending on the trade. All right, so 2 tracks of learning. One, you learn a technique, a strategy, and anyone can learn that, right? It's like learning how to paint by numbers. That's all a technique is. Repetition, you learn it. But here's the thing, painting by numbers doesn't make you an artist, does it? Like, there's a lot of people out there teaching their strategies, and a lot of them are really good. But the second track of learning is, I think, where most people fall short, is teaching people how to become successful with the strategy. How to not only paint by numbers, but then also then become an artist or learn a piano scale. But, it's not going to make you a musician. How do you take those techniques and become a musician? So it's the same thing as with trading. You learn a technique, but then how do you become successful with that technique? That's what the mastermind is about, becoming a CEO trader. Because ultimately, you learn how to take those techniques, create a trade plan that you can prove, and then you get really good and you learn how to execute that plan until you get to the point where you're ready to trade live. Okay, that's the big picture idea. So the metaphor that's really easy for people to understand is, think about building a house, right? It takes a lot of effort. There's a lot of steps. It's complicated. I don't have to talk you through all the steps. We all know it's a lot, right? Okay, but how hard is it to walk through the door and live in the house once the house is finished, right? So if you're willing to invest some upfront time to build it properly, the actual running of the trade plans is designed to fit within a busy person's life where it doesn't take very long. Like swing trading, if you have a good plan in place, should take you a half hour a week on average, a few minutes a day pretty much on average to place and manage trades. And you could do it when you get home from work or whatever. There's ways to do it that fits within a busy lifestyle. And a good day trading plan should take you an hour a day or less. Same time, same chart, same plan every day, like opening up. You have a dry cleaner, you open it up at 9 a.m. every morning, like a business. You run it properly. Same with the day trade business. You start trading this trade plan starts at this time, same time every day. So you put the effort into building it properly, getting really good at it. But then when it comes time to opening your doors to the public and running it as a business, that often takes very little time. And so for the person that's very busy, that's how you have to be thinking. Can you find the time up front to build it properly, but then win all your time back when it comes time to running it properly?
Okay,
so,
Troy Noonan, this is really good. So I think two things. Yeah, technique is like not just playing the tune for a musical instrument. It's teaching someone how to be successful in the strategy, becoming a musician, right? And then setting up and learning how to do this. And then second, once it's up and running and putting the time and energy to do that, then it's just maintaining it and not having to spend as much time. Is that a fair summary?
Yeah, you run it like a business, and you want to run it in a way that we incorporate money management and power of compounding. So as you're running this properly, you start small as a ratio to your risk capital because you have to be able to weather that random distribution of wins and losses, right? But eventually you've won enough where you've grown your account where it's time to give yourself a raise, where you move your finger from the 1 to the 2. And now you're trading twice as large as you were, one more contract than before. You're not working any harder. You're not working anymore. You're doing the exact same plan. And eventually you're going to go from the 2 to the 3, and then the 3 to the 4, et cetera, et cetera. And it goes faster and faster and faster because the faster you grow your account, the faster you could grow your account, right? So there's this exponential curve until you hit your maximum size. So you give yourself a 2 to 5 year trajectory to grow that account to the point where now your financial goals can be achieved. And that's the whole idea.
Great. This is great. So what questions haven't I asked you that I should ask you on this, or what's the next step? Someone's like, hey, I want to work with Troy. I want to dive in and put up the time and the energy it's going to take to learn this. What does that look like?
Yeah. So I would say book a call with us. We'll talk to you about trading. We'll talk to you about your personal situation and see what, if it's a good fit, because it's not for everybody, but it could be absolutely perfect for that one person that, I know we're not for everybody, but we're perfect for some. So let's find out. Let's find out. Call us. Or
let's talk about capital gains tax, right? So part of what we do here, my company is called Capital Gains Tax Solutions. You have people that are selling highly appreciated illiquid assets like real estate or a business, and they have these massive gains, right? Which means they have this huge tax, especially in Taxifornia, I call it my home. It's always be my home, but that's where I'm from. It's huge, right? So 37% minimum for real estate investments. Can be higher with the depreciation recapture. Like we just did a $13 million exit for a client out of San Diego, and they were selling a car wash, right? And so they built it from the ground up. They had this huge $8 million gain. So we able to defer all the tax. We did this a couple of years ago before the market interest rates started to really creep up. So they got out at a great time and kind of talk about signs within the market. Like, hey, they're pumping all this money, all this, hyper real estate inflation kind of stuff. So they sold at a great time, paid off their debt, and diversified. And here's the coolest part, Troy. The funds went into a trust, which was at Charles Schwab, at which they could start to put it into securities, and they can put it into real estate debt, and they can diversify, and they can dollar cost average, and they can start to, really, get something outside of the real estate market until what? Until really right now. It's been a couple of years. The real estate market's shifting and values are dropping. Commercial real estate I'm referring to here. So this is what we do, right? And we love that ability to sell high and buy low. Capital gains tax deferred. Our strategy also works for Bitcoin. It works for primary homes. It works for public stock, right? Highly appreciated, really anything, commercial real estate. So I'm curious, when it comes to capital gains tax, and you hear that, what could that do for someone who's like, I love to do what Troy's doing and make those opportunities and those gains, but all my money's stuck in this real estate that I got to pay 40% before I can get it over to securities type of instrument.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot there. I'm not a tax expert, and it's funny you bring that up because we're doing a presentation in about 10 days or so with a tax expert who specializes in tax strategies for traders and real estate investors. So we're actually doing that. And maybe that's a reason for someone to text us a message, because then we can get them the information if they want to join that webinar. But I will say this, I like to place a lot of my trading inside of a tax-deferred account, a self-directed 401k, for example, or Roth IRA or whatever. So you can trade inside of those types of accounts, and you could even do real estate ventures inside of those accounts too. So while I'm not a tax advisor, and I'm certainly not qualified to give tax advice, there's some common sense things to be thinking about, and it's how to use some of these accounts and self-directed retirement programs to benefit you and keep your taxes to a minimum. Obviously, that's desirable.
Awesome. That's great. If people want to learn more about how to do that, you go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. It's capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. Again, it works for Bitcoin, business, sales, real estate, at least $1 million net proceeds, $1 million gain. Got to be a bigger exit. You go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. Okay, Troy. So we've touched on what you do, how you help people. Overall, what is your take on the securities world right now? Tech stocks, AI. Let's touch on Bitcoin. What's your take on Bitcoin? Just overall Bitcoin ETFs. What is your feel for these type all of those, that category there?
Well, when it comes to crypto, like I use TradeStation. I use their charts. My strategies work on TradeStation and NinjaTrader, a little bit on Thinkorswim. And if you can't chart it, I'm not really interested in it because I want to be able to go long or go short. I want to make money when it goes up or down. I mean, I have Bitcoin. I bought some, but I just kind of hang on to it. I'm not trading it. I'm not actively trading it. I just, maybe I'm just too old school, but for me, it's just easy. Like, it's just a symbol. For me, I don't get married to the symbol of what's being traded. Like, I trade crude oil futures because it works so well, and I've done it for so many years. It ain't broke, don't fix it. Why do I need to switch that symbol to something else and make things more complicated? That's how I look at it. Like, I just want to focus on the stuff that I know works. So there are people probably younger than me that are doing very well with crypto, and probably they're doing amazing. But if I can't put it on a chart that has my strategy that shows the price pattern that I could predict what's likely to happen next, whether it's to go up or down, then I'm probably not going to pay attention to it that much because it doesn't make sense to.
Totally makes sense because, yeah, you're focused on the trade. What was the trade plan? What was the pros and the cons? Give me like the high and the low, right? You're like, man, I had the trade plan. I did my due diligence, but then I just missed it. Like, what was the mistake that you missed? That'd be the worst outcome. And then flip side, what was the one where you're like, man, I followed it and we nailed it. Could you have any like a high and a low that you could share with us, Troy?
Well, the lows all come from before I even knew what a trade plan was. I mean, we didn't have time. I didn't tell you about my journey that brought me to this point. When I had to start calling a live trade in a trade room, first of all, have you ever stood on stage to give a speech in front of an audience for the very first time? Is that like one of the most frightening things you can imagine? Imagine having to sing a solo in front of I did that in the 8th grade, and I'm not a singer. I'm a drummer for a reason. But when it came time to call live trades for the very first time, and I was using someone else's strategy, who invited me in as their first trade coach, basically, and that first trade showed up, I almost didn't call it because it didn't look like all the trades that I was able to look and see, all those beautiful moves and winners, and the benefit of hindsight, right? What you realize when you start trading is, oh no, we don't know what's going to happen. And so this trade shows up, first time, curtain opened, right? There's 186 people in the trade room, and I got to call a trade. And I felt very queasy. I felt like I wanted to vomit. I mean, it just, it was the responsibility that everyone's hanging on my every word. And I really felt it at the time. And 4 words popped in my head, kind of saved my life and changed my life. And later on, I teach this, right? And one of my students said, hey, I'm going to tattoo it across my head in reverse so I could look at it in the mirror every day before I start trading. And it was these 4 words: lean on the system, right? And that ended up being I was able to call the trade. But at the time, those words allowed me to call that trade for the very first day, but it wasn't because of why you would think. The reason why is because it alleviated me of all blame, whether the trade won or lost. I was just being a professional doing my job, and I could blame the strategy and not myself. But what that ultimately does is it takes the pressure off of yourself. And so if you learn how to lean on the system, trade plans work in mysterious ways. I could tell you so many stories, but there's one in particular over 15 years ago when I was demonstrating my very first strategy. This is a few years after in the trade room, but now I'm starting to use my own strategy in the trade room. And I was demonstrating it at this trading conference in Paris. And I had a big group of people around me. And my partner was calling my room for me back at home. And I knew that he was calling these same trades, right? First trade, loser. Big group of people. They're all looking at each other like starting to get skeptical. Second trade, another loser. And now they're starting to elbow each other, and this guy's an idiot, and they're walking away laughing. And I like that, you know, you want to see people fall on their face. It's funny. I was the one that they wanted to see fall on my face, right? So all of a sudden, the third trade shows up per the plan, and I yelled it out at the top of my voice, at the top of my lungs, and they all came back again. Like they all started walking back to see this third trade. They really wanted to see me get like seriously nosedive, fall on my face. And instead, it was the mother of all trades. It literally went for over $5, which is $1,000 of profit per $1 move. It's $10 a penny with a contract of crude oil. And this was being called in the trade room, and they're witnessing it happen live. I wasn't in the trade. I was demoing the strategy, right? But it called the trade. It was going. And it made me realize, thank goodness the first two trades lost, where we would have made a few $100 of profit. Made a $5,000 profit. It was because of those two trades losing that the trade plan says, well, you got to take a third trade. And the point is that trade plans operate and work in mysterious ways, right? So people have to realize that losing trades get them to the winners. And you can't divorce losers from winners, because that's not realistic. If it was, then we wouldn't need money, right? We'd live in utopia. But no government's going to let you just print money with no risk. It doesn't work that way. So you have to then learn how to put the odds on your side. It goes back to what I said. The immediate past can predict the immediate future with a large degree of accuracy. But I didn't say 100% of accuracy, a large degree of accuracy. And that's enough to get us to our financial goals. So if you're trading to make money, you focus on a formula that's going to make you money. If you're trading to make money, you're not trying to win 100% of the time. That's a different motivation. And it's quite foolish because it's not possible. But that's what people do. That's what a person trying to trade does. Right?
Got it, Troy. This is awesome. Wow, that's so much wisdom there. Lean on the system, right? Have a trade plan in place, and make sure it's chartable, right? If it's not chartable, how are you going to execute on a plan, right? And then obviously wisdom says do it in a Roth, do it in a self-directed 401k, something where you can shelter, the gains and the losses, right, over a period of time that's in a tax efficient way. Troy, we're totally out of time. Are you ready for the lightning round?
Let's do it.
All right. What's the number one book you recommended the most in the past year?
Well, it's my book. It's the Day Trading Quick Start Guide.
Yeah.
Top seller on Amazon. It's got over 1,000 five-star reviews, so I recommend that all the time.
Awesome. Love it. Question number 2. Number one way you're using ChatGPT?
Oh, wow. I don't really use it. I use it for fun, but I end up writing my own stuff because I don't know. I just don't use it much.
Awesome. Question number 3. Number one leadership quote or theme that you strive to live by?
That's a good one. And I actually got it from my grandmother. She said, a true artist never cheapens their style. And what she's really saying is, if you could choose excellence over mediocre, how could you choose mediocre? Always choose excellence.
Okay. I love it. Good for grandma. I love that one. Question number, 4. What are you most curious about right now?
Oh, gosh, I've got so much. Well, there's lots of parts of the world I haven't seen yet, so I'm certainly curious about that. But I'm actually curious to see how things turn out going forward with the way the world's changing now. I mean, it's what's on everyone's mind. It's not just curious, it's also concern. But
for sure.
Yeah.
That's great. And last question, and we'll wrap up with this. How do you best practice a mindset of stewardship over ownership? And how do you stay centered in your values?
Yeah, so that's another excellent question. I always fall back on trying to put my bar very high, right? Achieve for excellence always. But there's this thing that I thought of recently. I heard it and it got me really thinking, and that is that time. Like I always ask people in my webinars, what's more important, time or money? So it's funny to hear what they always answer. But time is the one commodity that we continue to spend without ever knowing the balance. And time is our most valuable commodity. So whatever we can do to win back our time, that's what we should be doing. And that's why trading is, I think, a great option for a lot of people, because little upfront time pays you back with all the time you get back in your life going forward.
Troy Noonan, this has been more than a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you for dropping so much wisdom in about 35 minutes here. I want to encourage you to keep using your gifts of teaching people how to be the CEO trader of their investments, of their life, of their business, and to unlock freedom, right, with their capital. And when they do, we encourage you to make a bigger difference, right, for your family, for your community, for MVPs. For our listeners, Troy, who want to get in touch with you, one last time, what's the best place for them to find you?
Well, they could text us at 775-204-7717 and put in the text CEO 6. That way we know they came from you. And another way is to go to backpacktrader.com/podcast.
Perfect. Thank you, Troy. And I also want to thank all of our listeners for listening to another episode of the Build It to Billions podcast. We're also streaming on Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast and YouTube channels. Hey, we so appreciate everyone out there, all your support. It means the world when you subscribe to the channels, leave a like or review. Of course, if you have a massive capital gains tax approaching on a huge exit of Bitcoin, business, stock, real estate, I'm talking $1 million plus type of transactions, would encourage you to take action as well to get with us and go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com and check out the book, Building a Capital Gains Tax Exit Plan. We have Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank in the book, and it teaches you how to build a capital gains tax exit plan. So perhaps you can also unlock your capital. Hire Troy to help you have a trading plan with securities and do all kinds of cool stuff, right? To make wealth, diversify wealth, take action, right? Don't stop, start a plan. Appreciate everyone out there. We will talk to everyone again real soon. Bye now.